Hello everyone and welcome back to this next lecture. So in the previous lecture we had written this additional method to our ownable example contract. Now again, how complex you want your contract to get is totally up to you. As an example for using this ownable contract from the Open Zeppelin collection, all we are interested in is three methods. That is, we are interested in this only ownable modifier, which allows us to restrict methods to only the owner of the contract. And we can transfer the ownership from one owner to another, and we can renounce ownership. These are the three functionalities that are provided by this ownable contract. So we have already played around with the transfer ownership and renounce ownership. Now we are playing around with this only owner modifier, because the only owner modifier allows us to restrict the access to this particular method. And that is one of the main features of this ownable contract from the Open Zeppelin collection. So again, I've already said this is not the recommended way to transfer methods to a particular address. It could be a contract or it could be an externally owned account. This is not the recommended way to do so. In the later lectures, I will show you how we are going to do it in the recommended manner. For now, I do not want to bring in those details. This is just the beginning of this course. This is our very first contract, so let's keep it simple for now. And this will work at the time of making this particular video. So let's come over here, go to Solidity Compiler and click on Compile Ownable Example, because we've made changes again. So here we see there is a warning. Let's go and check out what that warning is. And you see the warning is this particular statement itself. It just doesn't like this particular statement, but for now, as I said, we can ignore it. So let's come over here. I'm going to delete this one so that we have always starting with a clean slate. So again, let's go all the way to the very first one. So we're going to use this very first one to deploy our contract. Now in this case, let's say the first two contracts are the parents. So there is a father, there is a mother. So then let's say the third contract will be the son. And later we can have other siblings as well. And I'll show you that example as well. So let's start with the first two accounts being the parents, the mother and the father, or for that matter, any two parents. Again, doesn't have to be specifically a mother and a father. And the third one can be the son. Could be a son, daughter, whoever. Again, doesn't have to be the son or daughter. Can be anyone. So now with this example, let me go over and copy this third account, because this third account is the child which we want to assign as the owner of the contract. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to come back up here and select the very first one, which is the parent. So let's come down here and paste this third account, right? This is the third account, which is the account of the child, into our initial address argument when we want to deploy this contract. So I'm going to click on this button and let's come over here and you will see that it is a green check mark. So we were able to deploy it successfully. Now, in case you're wondering, you can always clear the console using this, just so that you don't have to be reading all of them all the time. Every time you deploy a new contract, you can just clear the console. So let's come over here and expand it. And now you will see that we have several methods. So we have the usual transfer ownership and renounce ownership method. We have also the owner, and we have now a withdraw funds. So let's come over here and click on the account and use owner. And the owner you'll see is this address here. And you come down here, and if you come up here, you will see that that is the third address, right? So again, let's go and transfer funds, some funds. So let's come over up here. Let's transfer 5 Ether to this contract because it doesn't have anything right now. As I said, all you have to do, press the value, enter whatever value you want to transfer to the contract. Select your denomination, which you want, whether it's Ether or WAVE. Come all the way down here and click on this transact button. And you'll see that this also is a green check mark. So you come up here, you'll see there is now 5 Ether. So now that there is 5 Ether, this means that the child can now access it. So let's come over here to the third one and try to withdraw some funds. So for that, we can come all the way down here, go to withdraw funds, and we can put an amount. Now this amount that we have to put is in Wei, not in Ether. So for that, we have to calculate it. And the way to calculate it is usually I'll just go to this Ether to Wei calculation, and you will find a convenient online calculator. So let's say I want to withdraw 0.5 Ether, right? And that 0.5 Ether is okay because we have 5 Ether of balance in the contract. So I'm going to copy this amount, which is in Wei, and come all the way up here and enter this amount. So again, whatever value that we specify, unless we explicitly cast it to Ether, in that case, it is by default in Wei, right? We are just transferring the amount. In that case, this amount is in Wei, right? So let's click on this and come up here, and you'll see that there is a green check mark. And if you come over here, you'll see that the balance is reduced to 4.5 Ether, which means 0.5 Ether has indeed been transferred from the contract to somewhere else. So let's see who got the money. So if you come up here, and you will see that this third account now has a balance of 100, close to 100.5. The reason why it's not exactly 100.5 is because there is some gas cost as well. Because this third account is is actually making the transaction. Whichever account makes a transaction has to pay the gas fees. So there is a slight amount that is deducted from the final amount which is transferred to the account. So what this means is we have now successfully managed to ensure that a child can withdraw funds from this contract and the parents can keep supplying funds to it. So for example, anyone can supply funds to it. So let's say, for example, there is a very benevolent uncle. Let's say just pick up some random account, any random account. And he says, okay, you know what? Happy birthday. For your birthday, I'm going to transfer to you 10 Ether. Right? This is a very generous uncle. Again, all the way, you just have to come down here, click on the transact button. And if you see, there is also a green check mark, which means it was a successful transaction. And now there is 14.5 Ether in the account, in the contract, sorry. And if you come over here, you'll see that this balance of this particular account, which is some uncle or aunt, has now decreased by 10 Ether. Again, a little more than 10 Ether because the reason is there is gas cost. Right? So now let's try to withdraw funds using somebody else. So let's say, for example, some malicious user, right? Let's say just pick a random account. Let's go all the way to the end. Pick this last account. This last account finds out that this particular person has such a contract set up for this fellow as a spending account. So he tries to steal money from it. So he says, you know what, I'm also going to choose 5 Ether. Or let's say I want to drain this account. So let's say I'm going to take 10 Ether. So let's copy this amount, come over here and paste it. So he is trying to steal money from this account. This is not an authorized owner, right? This account is a random account. If I click on this and I check the logs, you will see that there is a red cross. And you will see here, this is ownable unauthorized account. And this ownable unauthorized account we have already seen is passed by the only owner modifier. So when this only owner modifier, make sure that this caller of this particular method is not the owner of the contract, then this particular error is thrown. So therefore, this way we can safeguard this contract. Only one owner can withdraw funds from this contract or perform restricted methods in this particular contract, right? So again, let's just complete our example. Let's say, for example, this person, whoever is the child, graduates, gets a job. So now the parents say, you know what, you don't really need this account anymore. How about you transfer it to your younger sibling who is now starting university? And that seems like a very reasonable request. So therefore, this third account, which is the child's account, has to now transfer ownership to another account. So for that, let's say we choose the next account. That is, we choose the fourth account, right? So these two are the parents. This is the child. And now this fourth account is the sibling. the new sibling who is now starting university. So let's come over here, copy this, come over to transfer ownership and paste it, right? So again, if I only directly click on this transfer ownership, with this fourth account, it should give an error because only the owner of this account, owner of this contract rather, can transfer ownership to somebody else. So we can always try that out. If we click on this, you will see that there is an error and this is only expected, right? So let's go and make the legitimate transaction. So let's go and select this third account, which is the account of the older sibling who has graduated. Now selecting this account, let's try to call this transfer ownership method again. And this time you will see that the transaction has succeeded. And if I click on the owner, you will see that now there is a new owner, and this owner is this particular fourth account. And now the fourth account can withdraw funds. So let's say the fourth account wants to withdraw 1 ether. I'm just going to delete 0 because we had actually calculated 10 ether. We don't want to withdraw that much funds. So let's say we withdraw funds. Now let's come over here and see what happened. You'll see that this transaction has failed. So again, let's come over here and see what happened. I have chosen the wrong account, right? I still chose the child account. That is the older sibling who had graduated. I must choose now the younger sibling who is the new owner of this account. So let me come over here and withdraw funds again. And now this has succeeded. So the older sibling who has graduated, who is no longer an owner of the account, cannot withdraw funds anymore. He has transferred ownership to his younger sibling. And it is now the younger sibling who is authorized to transfer funds, or rather to withdraw funds. And if you come over here, you'll see that this younger sibling now has close to 1 ether, right? And the balance of the account has now dropped by 1 ether, right? So with this, we have now used the ownable contract provided by the Open Zeppelin library in this very simple example of a shared wallet, right? So with this shared wallet, we are now getting access to all the public methods of ownable. And also we are getting access to the only owner modifier, which restricts functions to be called by only the owner of the contract, right? So go ahead, play around with this particular contract, try to pass money around and things like that, withdraw money, try to even call this insufficient balance. Just keep on draining this contract and try to get this insufficient balance account and try to put money back in, things like that. Just go ahead, play around with this contract, get used to using this remix ID and how you can pass funds to it. So again, remember, to pass funds, you must enter the value and you must come all the way down here and click on transact. I will describe the implication of this call data a little later in this course. So if any of this did not work for you, or you faced any other issues, please post in the Q&A forum and I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you so much for listening and see you soon. Goodbye for now.